Notes from the Meditations of Marcus Aurelius Antoninus. From my grandfather I took decency and mild temper. From my natural father I received integrity and manliness. From my mother I learned piety, generosity, and simplicity of living, all well clear of the habits of the rich. From my tutor I learned to tolerate pain and feel few needs, to work with my own hands, to mind my own business, to be deaf to malicious gossip. From Dionysus I learned to avoid empty enthusiasm and to love the camp bed. From Rusticus I learned to be readily recalled to conciliation with those who have given or taken offense. From Apollonius I learned the certainty to ignore the dice of fortune. From Sextus I learned to combine complete freedom from passion with the greatest human affection. From Fronto I learned to understand the effects of suspicion, caprice, and hypocrisy in the exercise of absolute rule. From Catullus I learned not to spurn a friend's criticism. From Severus I learned love of family, love of truth, and love of justice. From him, too, I learned beneficence, unstinting generosity, and optimism. From Maximus I learned self-mastery, to be immune to any passing whim, and never consider myself superior to another. From my adoptive father I learned to have no vain taste for so-called honors. A ready ear for anyone with a proposal for the common good. In those things which conduce to the comfort of life, to enjoy them without pride or apology either. Further, no liking for change and chance. The gods I thank for coming under a ruler and father who was to strip me of all conceit and bring me to realize that it is possible to live in a palace without feeling the need for bodyguards or fancy uniforms, candelabras, statues, or the other trappings of such like pomp. I thank the gods that whenever I wanted to help someone in poverty or some other need, I was never told there was no source of affordable money. I thank the gods for acquiring a clear and constant picture of what is meant by living according to nature. Whatever it is, this being of mine is made up of flesh, breath, and directing mind. Now the flesh should disdain blood, bones, a mere fabric and network of nerves, veins, and arteries. Consider too what breath is wind, and not even a constant, but all the time being disgorged and sucked in again. That leaves the third part, the directing mind. Quit your books, no more hankering. This is not your gift. No, think like this, as if you were on the point of death. You are old. Don't then let this directing mind of yours be enslaved any longer. No more jerk into the strings of selfish impulse. No more disquiet at your present or suspicion of your future fate. I am made up of the causal and the material. Neither of these will disappear into nothing, just as neither came to be out of nothing. So every part of me will be assigned its changed place in some part of the universe, and that will change again into another part of the universe, and so on to infinity. A similar sequence of change brought me into existence, and my parents before me, and so back in another infinity of regression. Nothing forbids this assertion, even if the universe is subject to the completion of cycles. Nothing happens to any creature beyond its natural endurance. Another has the same experience as you, either through failure to recognize what has happened to him, or in a display of courage, he remains calm and untroubled. Strange, then, that ignorance and pretension should be stronger than wisdom. Reflect often on the speed with which all things in being, or coming into being, are carried past and swept away. Existence is like a river in ceaseless flow. Its actions a constant succession of change, its causes innumerable in their variety. Scarcely anything stands still, even what is most immediate. Reflect, too, on the yawning gulf of past and present time, in which all things vanish. So, in all of this, it must be folly for anyone to be puffed with ambition, wrecked in struggle, or indignant at his lot, as if this was anything lasting or likely to trouble him for long. What is not harmful to the city does not harm the citizen either. Whenever you imagine you have been harmed, apply this criterion. If the city is not harmed by this, then I have not been harmed either. If, on the other hand, harm is done to the city, you should not be angry, but demonstrate to the doer of this harm what he has failed to see himself. The directing and sovereign part of your soul must stay immune to any current in the flesh, either smooth or troubled, and keep its independence. It must define its own sphere and confine those affections to the parts they affect. When, though, as must happen in a composite unit, these affections are transmitted to the mind along the reverse route of sympathy, then you must not try to deny the perception of them, but your directing mind must not of itself add any judgment of good or bad. Another does wrong? What is that to me? Let him see to it. He has his own disposition, his own action. I have now what universal nature wishes me to have now, and I do what my own nature wishes me to do now. Are you angry with the man who smells like a goat, or the one with foul breath? What will you have him do? That's the way his mouth is. That's the way his armpits are. So it is inevitable that they should give out odors to match. But the man is endowed with reason, you say, and if he puts his mind to it, he can work out why he causes offense. Well, good for you. So you too are no less endowed with reason. Bring your rationality then to bear on his rationality. Show him, tell him. If he listens, you will cure him, and no need for anger. Here is a way to understand what sort of things the majority takes to be goods. If you think of the true goods there are: wisdom, self-control, justice, and courage, with these in your mind, you could not give any credence to the popular saying of too many goods to make room, because it will not apply. But bearing in mind what the majority sees as goods, you will hear and readily accept what the poet says as a fair comment. Even the majority can intuit this difference.